This is Jumpstart meeting number 4. We're going to have another one, I believe, early next month. There'll be about every month for now. Then there'll be 1.5 times a month. Then by the time we get into the fall, there'll be twice a month. Then they'll tail back off again. There was a time we met every week. We don't do that anymore. We do it as needed and keep you up. What you might want to do also, parents, is watch your email this time of year, because I'll be sending you some information I can't cover in the meeting. And also go to our website. I will take a minute at the end to show you the cool new stuff we added to our website and to encourage you to get your youth involved in other programs that we have that will help them be ready for college. So we will talk about that today before we finish up, okay? And I also want to show you, we'll have Christina here. She'll have an important announcement for you. A couple things she would like to cover. She'll do that later in the meeting. She's finishing up some schoolwork for this semester. She's a Dominican student. She's got some work to do today. All right, let's go ahead and get started. This is going to, let me just go ahead and check on these. See who's, I know the sound, keep the sound down here. All right. Okay, good, got that done. Okay, we did this view graph before, but I thought it was a good place to start. A couple of repeat view graphs. It'd be first time for some people. How do most people choose a college? It's kind of a preference-driven type of approach that most use. There'll be some college alum that may tell you things, maybe the reputation of the college, maybe family and friends have something to say. Please turn off your microphone, please. Your family and friends may have suggestions, all right? And then you will apply to various colleges, right? And you'll get usually moderate to high parent debt because it wasn't driven by data, it was by preference. I think that's the whole point when it's driven by preference. It's a lot harder for you when that happens. All right, so there's a viable career path in those cases to 45% of our students, okay? Then you can do a data-driven approach, which is the one I prefer. I prefer using facts and data to drive the decision. Go ahead and admit that person there, please. Okay, data-driven. Unweighted GPA. Career path, close your microphone, please, thank you. Career path, weighted GPA. Family income, I think, needs to go into it, right? And then down here, we do have to look at, in some cases, oops, let me get this out of the way here. Okay, and then you pick your top 12 colleges. We have a college list that we have called our preferred colleges. Our preferred colleges are a list of colleges that we have on our website, and I'll show you that. If you have your conference with me, I talk about some of those colleges when it's appropriate. But we want to make sure we have colleges that demonstrate that when there's a data-driven approach, they're commonly picked. They're commonly picked. So we'll make sure that we cover those. Okay. So usually you get moderate debt when you have a data-driven approach because you've considered all these, the family income, everything's been considered in this approach, and you're going to have 0 to moderate parent debt. This is a good representation of how we view the college admission process. You'll have a viable career path for 85% of these students. 85% of my students leave college with a viable career path. And a lot of it has to do with how we pick the school in the very beginning with a data-driven approach. And it's great if you have it affordable, of course. It's even greater, okay? All right, let's go ahead and there's your SAT and your college readiness conference. So a lot of you have had college readiness conferences already. We can in that conference help you with your data-driven approach. We can certainly help you. And the SAT plan and scores over here, sure, CSU and UC, we're not going to talk about SAT much today because those two schools don't even read the SAT, all right? But there's some private schools that do. This is why a lot of you are taking prep. And there are going to be some opportunities for out-of-state schools to require the SAT as well. There's a few colleges in state that are optional. Remember, when they're optional, And if you have good grades, I feel that the SAT is something students should take. We've talked about that before. So you have various types of schools, out-of-state public universities, California state universities, a lot more to say about that today, early action private colleges, universities of California, a lot to say about them today, regular period private colleges. So these are the 5 different application periods, different types of colleges that you're going to be applying to. And they're dates that I think you should be thinking about these. Out-of-state public universities, we start thinking about those around September 15th. Some of them a little earlier, but most of them are around September 15th. The California state universities are the 1st to the 31st on our program, but you can apply them all the way through November 30th. We like to see all the work being done on those by Halloween. Early action private universities, the 1st to the 15th. There's certain private colleges. I have a $ there because there are certain private colleges, parents and youth, that it's going to be more scholarship money available if you apply early. They don't give their money away as late as they do to early action students. And I'll definitely always let you know about that when I see your college. Please close your mic. Close your mic. There. Close your mic. Microphone. I'll close that for her. Hold on. Okay, good. She got it. Okay. So the universities of California. So the 1st to the 15th is when we do the early action private colleges. For example, take a school like, well, the obvious example is USC. I wouldn't dream of applying to USC after December 1st. You can all the way up to January 15th. But why would you do that when 90% of their grants and scholarships are given to students who apply by December 1st? So that's one very obvious example. There are other schools too, University of San Diego, a lot of the Christian colleges. It's better to apply early. And that's the advantage of coming through us and having your readiness conference. We can sort through your list and tell you one of the things we give you from our meeting is a schedule for when you should apply to certain colleges. That even if you don't use our service, that's worth it right there. That's worth its weight in gold right there. It's very important anyway. All right, okay. November 1st to 30th are the universities of California. And down here, regular period private colleges are December 1st to 31st. Okay. And then you have application essays on early action private colleges, Protestant Christian colleges, University of California, and regular period private colleges. You'll notice that the UCs and out-of-state public universities, they don't have essays. So a lot of times your counselors will tell you these schools have essays, and I think you have a counselor that probably doesn't have a lot of experience. But these schools do not require the essays. We do it one-on-one in small group. We already have Sierra Williams is working. If you go to our website, you can sign up for that. We'd rather have people signing up for it to start their essays if they're cleared of their schoolwork, because if you're working in your schoolwork, you won't make progress on the essay. We'll have to redo sessions to help you because you're distracted by schoolwork, and that's important. We understand it. But some people can handle it early, and that's fine. But the point is to make sure you start early on your essays. And of course, that's how we do essay development. We're also going to have a summer bridge class where we're going to cover the essays as well. And of course, we do the straight application support. So all the stuff in blue are the things that we do in the college admission process support area. Okay. So basically, you know how it goes. There's application submission to a college admissions office, and you're either accepted, rejected, or on the wait list. Of course, your transcript is provided sometimes. However, it's not provided for UC and CSU. We have what's called the self-reported application where you self-report your grades, and we'll show you that today. I'll talk about that today. So there I have it over there, UC and CSU, and do not require transcripts. By the way, this presentation should be available in the chat window. If it's not, we always send out the presentation immediately to those that are in this. Right after it's over, they will send you a PDF of it. Maybe you'll see if it's out there in the chat. Rico, do you see if you scroll back in the chat, do you see the file there? Can you scroll back in the chat and see if it's up there? If there's a link to the PDF, maybe it's not. Look and see for me.
Yeah, since I entered a little later, I can't see it.
Okay,
But can
that's it.
anyone confirm if you're able to access it? Who was
Yeah,
previously-
I'll look at that, see if I can sneak it in between. If we have Q&A here later. Our recommendations are sometimes required. They go to the admissions office also. They're not required on every application, not on UC or CSU, but certain private schools. We're going to talk a lot about private schools at our next meeting. It's going to be all about private schools. In fact, I'm going to have 2 private schools here, LMU and one other private school that I'm working on right now. We'll talk to you more about that. So we have a big private school session later. SAT and ACT scores, I have it as a question mark. That's if they're required, right? They're provided to the admissions office. And then SAT prep will be needed if you're going to actually have an SAT. And that basically is the college admissions requirements versus the college application process. That's how it all works. The stuff on the outside is the stuff you need to provide to the university in the violet and blue arrows that are going in. All right. Here's the plan for higher education in California. Now we get into the new stuff. There's California community colleges, and that's the last time that I'm going to say community colleges, because they're trying to change and talk about them as 2-year colleges. So the California community colleges, there's 112 of them. They'll take all high school graduates. Pretty much no one is turned down. Everyone will get into a 2-year college. The California state universities are 23 campuses. The average is the top 33% of students. But as you'll see later, it's a window of very selective to non-selective schools. I'll show you that later. But system-wide, it's 33% of high school students are eligible for CSU. The University of California have 9 campuses. The top 10% of high school students are eligible. And you know, they only have the GPA now. There is no SAT score to help. And you know, this 10% is an average, okay? So some UCs, as you'll see later, are extremely selective. Only took 3 or 4% of students this last period. But then others, not as much. They took 13, 14, and 15% of students, okay? But still, they're quite selective, our UCs. University of UC San Francisco is a postgraduate medical college. It's a prep course for students going to medical school. That's UC San Francisco. And then UC Hastings, of course, is a postgraduate, it's a law school. Okay, that is the plan for higher education, California. That is our public university system. Any questions at this point? Everybody okay? Remember, you can chat during the chat window. You can speak right up.
No questions so far.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. And let's look at the entering fall 2022. Here's plan 1 for 4-year public college attendance. You high school graduate, you go to either UC or CSU. Simple as that. I think everybody knows that, but I thought I'd put that up. You'll see why later. High school graduation, here's another way of doing it. It should be plan 2, I'm sorry. It's California 2-year college. Then once you finish 2-year college, you can go to California State University, or you can go to the University of California. Remember, we're talking about public universities today, not private universities. I should stop here and say that even is the cases if you transfer. Let's say you go to a college, you know, it doesn't work out too well for you, and you want to come back and go to a CSU. Unfortunately, you have to have your 2-year degree, a transfer degree to do that. So you'll start out at 2-year college. So you go from the 4-year college to California 2-year college, then on to CSU. That's what Quinn did, and we talked about that. I don't think she'll be here today, but that's how you'd have to always go back to the 2-year college to certify or get the courses you need to qualify for CSU and UC. For the most part, CSU and UC will only take students from the California 2-year college system. So once you are set, you're set. You have to go through 2-year college. Now, of course, if you're an athlete and have tremendous athletic ability, unfortunately, you know, they'll take those students direct from another college on a transfer in 1 second. Here's a comparison of UC to CSU. Let's take a moment and linger here. Again, you'll get a copy of the presentation. The target students are for UC, are the top 3% to 12% of students. The state law says 10%, so really it ends up being 3 to 12% of students. Sometimes it can creep up to 13%, this year was a particularly tough year. CSU was 5% to 50%. It's 33% by state law, okay? SAT and ACT are not accepted for either school. I think that's the right way of saying it. It's not accepted. And I'm not even going to read it, not going to accept it. So the SAT is not required by those two. GPAs, well, for UC, 3.5 to 4.3. And I get a lot of students who are 3.0, 3.1, 3.2 applying to UC. I'll never tell a student they can't apply, but they are $70 a piece. And I think I should tell you that what your chances will be when you apply that way. CSU is 2.5 to 3.9. So we have all kinds of students, high GPA and moderate GPAs and reduced GPAs that are looking at CSU, okay? That happens all the time. And the type of learning, this is very important. UC is a research school. It's research learning, which means the teacher doesn't teach them what they're going to test on. You pull out the material, you organize it, you study it. And they usually just speak on contemporary topics related to it or tangentially or topics that are sort of related, but you can't just get the lecture and know what they're going to test on. Whereas CSU is more traditional. They're going to test on along curriculum lines. They're going to tell you what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you, they're going to test you on what they told you. It's more traditional and it's more career push from a CSU. It's very different. They're very different schools. A lot of people think our schools are the same, UCs and CSUs. They are not the same. Look, all the research money from the federal government pretty much goes to UC. Very little goes to CSU. And that's affecting the kind of professors they have. They're picking professors who can research or have done a body of work or written or have done something in society. And they're going to make them professors. Whereas CSUs are going to have teachers and professors and adjuncts who are working in the field typically. They typically work. And that's why a lot of people feel that CSUs are for the working class. People want to go get a job and get a career. UC students do get a job and careers, but it's very different. Most of them are going to go take their master's degree. And if you're one of those people that feels that you have to go all the way for a master's, then a UC probably is where you end up. I have a lot to say about master's degrees in another meeting. Class size is medium to large for UC. Really, the schools themselves are all supersized. Every one of the UCs is a very large school, okay? CSUs vary, so their class sizes vary, small to medium. Their sizes of the CSU campuses vary from as little as 7,000 students all the way up to 47,000 students at San Jose, for example, okay? There's a wide range of sizes of CSUs. And that way you can say it is if you see when you look at Merced, but most of them are supersized. Number of campuses, there's 9 UCs, there's 23 CSUs. The most difficult to admit, UCLA, and boy, this is really true this year, UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC San Diego, and UC Santa Barbara, which was Santa Barbara was extremely difficult to get into this year, extremely. Okay, over on the CSU side, CSU Poly San Luis Obispo, very selective school, always is. It's one of the most selective public universities in the country, also one of the highest ranked. San Diego State University, CSU Long Beach, and CSU Fullerton. Those are the highest, most difficult to admit, CSUs for students that are not in the service area. For the most part, we are not in those service areas. Some people may be in Long Beach or Fullerton, there may be a couple of you that are. That would be a little easier to get in then. Division I sports, UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC Irvine. Then over on the CSU side, San Diego State, CSU Long Beach, San Jose State, and Fresno State. And the number of majors, so UCs have about half the number of majors as CSU. A lot of people are surprised when they see that, but remember, UCs are research schools. If you take a communications major at CSU and a communications major at UC, the curriculums are totally different. This is why it's hard to transfer from one to the other. You don't see that very often at all because the classes are different. They don't accept each other's classes. A communications major at UC is going to be learning about the history of communications and communication theory and understanding other people, things that are more related to theory and to research, right? Whereas CSUs are going to learn how to bust a website, how to give a talk, how to write rhetoric in a business sense, things like that, things that will cause companies to expand or make money. That's why I like communications majors. We talked about that the other day, last meeting, I guess, we talked about majors. The advantages of CSU and UC. CSU is the best college by far, best college value by far. It's not even close. On campus is $14,000 to $19,000. Commute, it's $1,200 to $1,500. There's a high connectivity to the California job market. Locations in a variety of settings, I've talked about that. And the urban CSUs are quite ethnically diverse, quite a bit. Many, many career paths and majors and career paths. UC research study is perfect for students who work better independently from teacher influence. Some students work better that way. High prestige. UCs have a high amount of prestige in Black and brown communities, especially UCLA, UC Berkeley, especially. I got the other ones too, San Diego, all the other ones too, but mostly those two, they have a high degree of prestige. In fact, most Black activists here in LA use it as a metric to determine whether UCLA and UC Berkeley and UC in general are being fair by how many Black and brown students are in those schools. It's always a major policy issue. Cost is better for most students than is a selective private college. That's true. It's going to be a better buy than a private college, which can run you $30 to $55 or even $60,000. On campus is $23,000 to $28,000 for UC if you don't get a sizable merit award. But a lot of students do, and so those numbers are better. Okay. Let's see here. Which CSU? That's what this is all about. Here's how it works. You submit a CSU application, your GPA is 3.7 or above, you can get into the most selective CSUs. That's what we saw this year. We're basing this on this year because we think post-COVID things are going to be different for a while because of the fact there's no SAT required anymore. 2.5 to 3.0, these are the typical CSUs that you could get into. I'd say, well, I don't really like those too much. Well, that's the way it goes. You get the school you earn, not the one you want. That's what very important to tell our students, our young people that. It's the first time in their adult life they hear that. You get what you earn, not what you want. Let's see, 3.1 to 3.6, all other CSUs are varying degrees in there somewhere, all right? So that's how you figure out what CSU you actually are going to apply to. Again, we'll help you with that when we get close to the application process. We have a lot to say about how we can help with CSU. Which UC? I should have said UC application here. I have to correct that. UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC, really you're talking about a GPA weighted of 4.0 plus. That's what we saw this year. We didn't see any of our 3.8s get into Santa Barbara. It was very difficult to admit. And UC Berkeley and UCLA always are. 3.7 to 4.0. It's got the GPAs to get into UC have gone up because they got more applications and they could do it. But the other reason is they don't have the SAT scores where they could go and take a student with a lower GPA, say 3.5 or 3.6, if their SAT scores were good. And we had a good history of getting scores up, so we were quite disappointed at that. But that's the way it goes. There's no more SAT. UC Davis, UC Irvine, and Riverside, 3.7 to 4.0. And then 3.4 to 3.6, 4 to 3.6. I feel Merced and Santa Cruz, it's a possibility for you. But those are UCs that typically students are not as excited about going to. But again, that's that thing of you get what you earn, not what you want. All right. That's a good rundown on the UCs. How about which two-year college? I mean, it's a topic we don't talk about a lot, but we should. I have a lot of great students doing great things in life that started out with two-year college. In fact, some of you parents may have started out with two-year college. There's no stigma. There's no bad point of, hey, I went to a two-year college. Let's help you out with that a little bit here. 2-year college enrollment. We like El Camino College. That's our favorite. We'll tell you why in a minute. Los Angeles City College and Trade Tech. We like them all for different reasons. For El Camino, we like Project Success, and they have some great 4-year college agreements with colleges, okay? Los Angeles Trade Tech, they're a great parallel career training school. I'll kind of show you what parallel is in a minute, but the whole idea is, next view graph actually, is that you could be learning your career while you're in 4-year college, and you could take some classes at Trade Tech to help you with that. There's some good 4-year college agreements, and they're good for reduced GPA students. Why? In high school, why? Because they have great support services and tutoring and academic awareness planning they've done for their students, more than any 2-year college I've ever seen. I mean, I think Project Success at El Camino is pretty good at it too. Students have to reach more for it there. It's just very evident at Trade Tech. LA City College, it's a great performing arts. They have great performing arts programs. They're good for 4-year transfer to UC. They're good for reduced GPA students. I like them for UC transfer because, again, they nurture the students. They bring the UC people on the campus often. They really nurture them well if they want to do a UC on a transfer. All right, so those are my favorite 2-year colleges. I try to stay out of recommending ones where I've seen my students struggle. West LA, Santa Monica, for different reasons. I've seen my students struggle at these schools. There's a lot of reasons for it. We can talk about it some other time if you want to know. As an alternative to immediate 4-year college, well, we're saying here, why do we even want a 2-year college? Well, one is as an alternative to immediate 4-year college, right? You can save up to 60% in debt and costs by going to a 2-year college first. You can stay near home if you have family reasons, right? It's quicker and better career start, right? Develop better learning and study habits. Then you realize, hey, I need to develop better study habits. It's a really great place to do it at a 2-year college. And then you could have quicker and better career starts. We'll explain that in a minute. There are programs like El Camino Project Success that help students make that transition. 95% of students that get in Project Success at El Camino go to a 4-year college. Another reason we use a 2-year college is to get credits while we're in high school and each summer while in college, right? You can finish college early, 3 or 3.5 years. You can save a lot of money. It's very important. You can get certifications for job skills. The next slide, I'll take a considerable amount of time talking about that next slide. You can get job skills through certifications. And of course, we have trade tech classes here at West Angeles. You can take classes for college credit. The teachers are all, have all been briefed on our students. They're exclusive to our students, and they love teaching high school students for college credit. I've had some students have some great experiences with the trade tech instructors. We have spots remaining open for summer, but I'll show you how you can find out more about those online at the end, or maybe Christina will be here at that point, okay? She's my project leader for that. You should really check those out and really think about, especially 11th graders and 10th graders, getting credit for classes while they're in college, while they're in high school, getting college credits while they're in high school. It's exclusive for our students. There's priority registration and they're free classes, okay? Here's some certified areas where our students have gone in there and started careers. Every one of these, I've had students start careers in parallel, listen to this, in parallel with their 4-year degree. The idea is to learn a skill while you're in 4-year college. And you can also do these instead of 4-year college and go to 4-year college later. I've had students do that as well. I have a young man who went to become an electrician apprentice, got a certification. He's making, like 40,000 a year doing that, working 20, 25 hours a week for a contractor. And meanwhile, he's decided to go back and get his 4-year degree. Okay, so you could do that kind of thing. It's very easy to do that. Computer and networking, Microsoft Office certification, culinary arts, cosmetology, these are all areas, film and video, especially at the Los Angeles City College program. They have a great program with film and video. That's another of those programs that I believe was funded by Lucas and by Herb Albert, I believe, provided funding to that school. They have a very excellent program. Herb Albert is for the music side, though. And Lucas gave him a donation for the film and video side. All right. Okay, any questions on the chat there, Ricardo?
No questions.
Okay,
But I did share the link to the LA Trade Tech summer course on
oh,
the
yeah,
website.
good.
So feel
Excellent.
free to click on the link if you all want to learn more about the summer courses to get college credit, because I'll see many.
Excellent. All right. Just a little more here we want to cover. Let me see how we're doing on. Oh, yeah, we're doing good on time. I want to keep this filled with information. I don't want to keep it too long. By the way, all these, as I said, can be started while you're in a four-year college. I call those parallel career paths, by the way. I call these parallel paths, or just additional value-added training that you need as a student. Some of these, like Microsoft Office, certification, computer networking. You can learn how to do a website with Microsoft Office certification. These things are going to be really important for you to have as skills when you hit the job market. Especially now, post-COVID, I think the job market is going to be different again, highly based on experience. How about the application requirements? CSU is self-reported grades, and they want to know what current classes you're going to be in your senior year. But you self-report your grades. You look at your transcript and you put the grades in your application. And we'll show you how to do that, or we'll do it for you. Parents, you'll have to select one method or the other. You can show them, or we can do it. Other course information they're going to require about your courses. And the application period is going to be the 1st to November 30th. Now, you might have seen that I had the 1st to the 31st, because that's when we plan to submit most of ours, if not just a few others who come late to our program. Anybody who's in our program now and wants to have us help, we'll get it finished by Halloween for most. Okay. Yeah, the November 30th applies to most, because CSU will stay open sometimes after some of the CSUs. UC is self-reported too, okay? And they want to know your current classes, just like CSU. There's 4 personal insight essays. There's no essay with CSU. 250 to 350 words. Students, that's where they're going to decide who gets in, the essays, right? As well as the GPA. Student activities and leadership. And then the application period is going to be November 1st through November 30th. I think I'm in the way there. I bet I am. It's the 1st through the 30th, okay? Let me get this down here. Okay. What will it take to get into UCLA, UC Berkeley, and UC Santa Barbara, besides the GPA and all that? I mentioned it again, of course. Great writing skills and admission knowledge reviewer like us. We do admissions reviews for the UCs, have a pretty good record. We know what they're looking for, because I read for UC before for 2 years, and within the last 3 or 4 years, I read for UC, one of the UCs. So we know what it takes, what they're looking for. I advise you not to just get a relative to review it, or to get an English teacher review only. I think you should have someone who's admission knowledgeable. You may know someone who's in admissions in a UC that will help you. Don't assume like a person who works for UC knows what UC wants in there. Really get someone who knows. I felt so bad when it happens every year, where a student might have someone else helping them. I don't help them. They don't get in, and then another student, the same GPA, gets in. I always wonder if it's because we reviewed their essay. I don't know, but I feel like we could really help with essay review. Start your essays early, right? And it does say pick 4 out of the 8 personal insight questions. We'll show you how to pick the questions too, by the way. GPA of 4.0 or above, A's and AP classes. That's how you get in those particular UCs. Those are the UCs most students want to go to, okay? I hear those all the time at the schools they want to go to, okay? Here's some affordable college access misconceptions. I presented this about 4 months ago, but I'm going to present it again. The belief that a well-known private high school ensures a well-known affordable college. Well, it might be helpful with a private school to get into a private school. Some private high schools do favor, selective private or elite private high schools, but it won't affect affordability. It's the GPA that does that. Um, so our personal experience that we've seen that's something we've seen that doesn't seem to make a difference. More AP classes equals a great college is a misconception. College classes are way better. Another argument for trade tech, right? To get college classes on your record. Because AP classes, you have to pass the test still, right? And you're going to be studying yourself for that test. It's going to be on your own kind of thing a lot of times. And the pass rates are not good on some of those tests just to get credit. But you can get credit from a two-year college, college credit without even doing that. The goal of well-known or highly regarded, the goal is a well-known or highly regarded college. That's a misconception. There's some colleges that you may not have heard of that are perfect for you and that are very affordable. We'll be presenting a lot of those colleges, and whether you are interested or not, you get to see them and you get to decide, is this a school that I want to look at, right? Okay. Misunderstanding of GPA types and what they mean for affordable college enrollment. So I'm going to review that in just a minute here, okay? So these are some misconceptions that occur with the college access process. Okay, any questions out there, Ricardo? No? Okay.
No questions.
Okay. 4 important things to know about high school GPAs. Weighted GPA is also approximately equal to the UC-CSU GPA, right? It gives you extra points for A's and B's, AP and honors classes. So UC does look at weighted GPA. CSU somewhat less, a little bit. Unweighted GPA, it's also called the total GPA, or the LUSD GPA, is the one that private schools look at. Private schools and out-of-state public universities look at unweighted GPA for determining, scholarships. So if you have a lot of AP classes, you get B's and C's, you might be happy because you get extra points for the B or whatever, but it doesn't translate to extra points unweighted. So you might come out with a GPA of 2.9 unweighted, and you can't get any scholarships from out-of-state public universities because maybe your GPA is too low. But then weighted, it's 3.3, right? Okay. As you know, 3.3 doesn't help as much with UC though. Except for UCs and CSUs, college academic merit award almost always is based on unweighted GPA. So the unweighted GPA is important for schools outside of UC and CSU. The UCs read weighted GPA. Selective private colleges read AP classes qualitatively, not quantitatively. So it's quality of how many did you take, that kind of thing. They may notice if a student took those classes if they were available. That's where you've heard that before. We also think they like college classes too. They do notice college classes if you have college credit classes. Okay, how about some general truths about private college? We're actually almost done. They're smaller, that's true. They cost more for sure, right? There's higher graduation rates, that's true. But my students tend to graduate at over 80%, where the nation's at 48%, 48, almost 50%. My students tend to graduate more because we give them attention and show them how to succeed in college in the months before they go to college. But the graduation rates in general are higher with private colleges. Essays needed for, now, if your student is a good student, it doesn't matter where they go, right? If you're keeping up with your work and you're working hard, it doesn't make a difference, the graduation rate. Essays needed for admission, you'll need up to 3 per private school. Teacher and counselor recommendations are needed for private colleges. There's emphasis on extracurricular leadership and activities, more so than it is with the state school. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot more about private schools in the next meeting we're going to have. The need-based is limited. That's right. That's a good point. Need-based financial aid is limited, more limited in a private college. They tend not to look at it. Some don't look at it at all. Some only do merit. Like most Black colleges only do merit awards. There is no need-based award in Black colleges. Okay, I thought I'd do one view graph to remind you about your FAFSA preparations, and we'll be about done. Told you I'd get you out of here in a reasonable time. I want to give you some good information though. Early FAFSA preparation, because you should be interested in this. You should start now preparing for the FAFSA. The 2022-23 FAFSA opens on October 1st, 2021. Okay, so October 1st, you can file your FAFSA for your fall 2022 application. It will be based on the 2020 income. So look at all these different years flying around here. So 2022, 2023 FAFSA. It opens in 2021, October 1st, but it'll be based on 2020 income. It's called the 2-year rule. You're starting in fall 2022, take a look at your 2020 income to determine. So that's already done, parents. We're now filing the tax returns for 2020, and that's going to be where it will be determined. Both youth and parent need to order a FAFSA username and password. Let me say that again. Both youth and parent need to order a FAFSA username and password. Please order it now. I advise you to go on and start thinking about that. And by the way, you can go to www.fafsa.gov. You can put that in the chat there, Ricardo. www.fafsa.gov. I didn't type it here, but here are the links right here. So when you get the document from me, all you'll have to do is just click the link, one link for username. You get that applied for, whatever you order that. And then one link for password, you order that. And each you and the student parents need to do that. Parents and youth both each need a username and a password. Each one will need it. It's very important. It's a very important concept. I'll check. There's a couple questions about that. Okay. All right. Yeah, file as soon as you can. And FAFSA.gov is where you go, and there are the links. He's going to put those links up there. And how I got those links, so you know, parents and Ricardo, if you go to FAFSA.gov and you click forgot password, forgot username, these are the links that pop up. You use these to change or set up your username and password. All right, I think that's it. I wanted to show you some of the things on the website though. So let me stop the sharing. Let's first see if there's any questions that anyone has. I know some of you came later. People who are here today will make a presentation package available to you, and the video will be edited and available by Monday or Tuesday. We'll make that available to you also. But are there any immediate questions here? I do want to show you the website and show you some things about that to make sure that you got that going on. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, here's the website.
I have a question, Deacon.
Go right ahead.
So I noticed lately, actually this past week in the news, there's been revealed that a lot of the HBCUs, particularly 4 in Maryland, and I can't remember the other one, but they're finding out that the HBCUs have been grossly underfunded, or basically money has been.
Yeah, that was originally, ironically, that was originally flagged during the last administration. They flagged that problem as a big issue. What about it? Go ahead, go right ahead. I'm very familiar with it. Yes? Question?
She's on mute.
Oh, she's on mute. I think she heard us say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
How did you hear me? I don't know how you heard me. Sorry.
We just know stuff.
Okay, so again, just they're discovering, as you said, it was found out during the last administration that a lot of funds that should have gone towards HBCUs were going to PWIs, and I'm wondering if you think that that will have an impact on students that traditionally wouldn't be able to afford an HBCU, because as you said, there's not necessarily need-based, but merit-based. It'll make a difference.
So remember, those Black schools are public universities.
Some of them are private, aren't they?
No, it was only affecting public, because that's the point. It was going to state PWIs and not in equal that's
Right,
equal
right,
proportion to Black PWIs, no, Black state schools.
right.
So and I just go ahead and call the schools out. I don't care. Delaware State, Maryland Eastern Shore.
Right.
Um, let's see, there's another one I always forget. But these are predominantly Black public universities. And that's the point. Public universities should be equally funded. So remember, private schools are not funded by the government. Now let's talk about those two schools in question. Those schools in question. Um, Typically, out-of-state public universities do not reduce the tuition to out-of-state students. Certainly not from California. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule. I'm sorry, some out-of-state public universities make their merit awards reasonable. Like they'll be, 3.0, 3.2, and others just make them real high. So if you have a super good student, they would have got money either way, whether there's more money going to the school or not. So that's the way I look at that. It all goes back to grades. That's for that student that's 3.0. Typically, they're not going to get a lot of love from traditionally Black colleges. We should be calling them, not HBCUs. Traditionally Black colleges is what we're talking about. Because there are white students at traditionally Black colleges. There are Hispanic students at traditionally Black colleges. It's just that they have a drumline, if you know what I mean. So I don't think it's going to have an impact on our California students. I thought you were going to ask something else when you brought that up. Now, let me see if I answered your question before I go into that.
Yeah, you did.
All right, now I'm going to say something in general. There are a lot of us that have great concern since the Floyd incident. A lot of these schools money's being found and they're sending more money to Black schools. And a lot of these Black schools are already significantly in debt. And we don't think it's going to have an immediate effect on scholarships. It may allow them to stay afloat because during the pandemic, Black schools took a big, big hit. And so I'm happy when I see the donations and things like that for that reason, because they took a super big hit. And small Black colleges, we're going to lose a few smaller Black colleges. We're going to lose a few small white colleges too because of the pandemic. And it just millions of dollars walked out the door because they had to send the kids home. The government did not reimburse. And also their enrollments were down for last year because nobody wanted to travel because we got everybody all super scared. So I just want to make sure I make that comment too. There's some concern about what the future will be of many of these smaller Black colleges as well. Anybody else? That was a good one. Boy, that made me think a lot. Anybody else? All right. Well, I guess I want to show you just a couple things on the site and I'll end the meeting. If you go to our website, we're at westa-eep.org. You should regularly check stuff out on here. The right way is to go along the top and look. If you ever wonder whether we're having a meeting, it's under events. You go under events and just scroll down. You'll find out all the upcoming meetings that we have. So just looking down here, we're in today's meeting here. Let's see when let's see if we see anything else cool here. Yeah, we got this event coming up. By the way, I should point it out. I'm going to be actually speaking at this event online on the 22nd. I'll be one of the speakers. I think I'll let Sister Alberta say a quick word about those two sessions. You might want to check those out. They'll be very informative sessions, I believe, based on the speakers. You can check out who the speakers will be and all that. It's cool. And then I see 2021 as a meeting, 2021. And I believe we're going to have a 2022 meeting shortly after that. So somewhere in mid-June, I think we're going to meet again. Okay, so that's one thing you could do on the website is you can go in there and look at that. And then the other thing, of course, is over here under programs, as Ricardo said, our LATTC summer courses are on here. You could register for that program. You just want to fill out the form down here and click submit when you're done, and we'll get a hold of you very quickly. Then our summer enrichment, summer bridge program is open enrollment. We had a record enrollment last week. Over 30 students, well, actually 20 in one day, 15 in another. So it's going to be very popular because we've cut the prices. There's our schedule right here. And all these classes our prep classes for your student in the fall. I really want to see students take some of these. There's 6-week prep courses. That's how you get an A in a course. 6-week prep courses. Our instructors are excellent. They're top notch. We cut the prices in half this year. By the way, on the 4th of June, they double, go back to the regular prices. But you can come in now, grab a spot, not refundable, but at least you can grab that spot and get your student in on these classes. We're a proud grant recipient from CSU, the Summer Algebra Institute. If you have any middle school students that you're concerned about their math, you can get a hold of us and get in there. And we're going to do some of these classes as we move through the summer. We're going to get them in person. We're making preparations for that because these students have endured Zoom too long, but we're still going to do some of that as well. All right, so definitely visit our website. So much is going on there. That's really pretty cool. The latest, you can always find out articles I'm writing or things that are going on. You can go right on down here, check things out. Should loans be forgiven? For example, you might want to look at that video. Pell Grants, what do I think about Pell Grants? Proposal to have free community college. What do I think about that? Plus loans and admission acceptance. I do videos all the time. We have a YouTube channel, by the way, at West Angeles Education Enrichment Program. Just go to YouTube and cruise for that. You'll find it. We have scholarships in here, all kinds of work study programs and all kinds of things going on inside of here. And right on our website under when you go under more and the latest. All right. Thank you much. I just want to make sure you know about our website. Please visit our website. There's some good stuff there that we put there all the time. We try to email about, but we don't want to flood you with emails. Go to our website, see what's going on. We get about 400 visits a day, but you can certainly feel free to go over anytime. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sister Marie. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks very much.